potential breakout stars for the Philadelphia Eagles. Some make a lot of sense. Some are good and debatable. Number one, not surprisingly, Jalen Hurts, because it all starts with the quarterback in the National Football League, and Eagles are going with one with minimal experience. How much of a breakout year can he have? Number two, Jalen Rhaegar. They're hoping the Jalen's go hand in hand. Is this the year after a disappointing, that's the word I'll use, rookie season for Jalen Rhaegar, that he steps up maybe as the number two guy behind Avante Smith? Defenses don't swing their best cornerback his way. It's a possibility. I see where you can make that argument. Number three, Jordan Milada, who both you and I suggest that he's not a lock to be the starting left tackle, but some people believe he's got a leg up over Andre Dillard for that position. Should be a great training camp competition. Yeah, that's right, Nick Sirianni.
That's
We're
a real
calling it
one.
a competition for you. Milada against Dillard should be good. Your Mac and Mac guys here, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, leading into a lengthy 4th of July weekend. Mac, man, I'm not going to see you for 4 days after this. How will I continue to exist?
I got a feeling you're going to enjoy that, but I'm sure you'll be nice about it. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe you'll tell me the truth, but you know, it's July 1st as well, Jody. So that is an interesting day on the calendar for two reasons. One, more important for Birds 365, I guess, we can say the Eagles are reporting to training camp this month now. So we're getting ever closer. And then the second, as a baseball guy, you know, this is Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh, Mets still writing that check?
Still writing it.
Damn.
Still writing it.
I think Bobby Bonilla or his heirs will be cashing those checks when you and I are no longer doing Birds 365 or doing anything like breathing. Could be over and done with before Bobby Bonilla stops cashing those Met checks. All right, we'll stay away from baseball because the Phillies bullpen blew another game last night. Actually, no, Aaron Nola took the loss. But I really felt bad for Aaron Nola because they dinked and dunked him to death last night. You talk about bleeders and bloops and the like. Nola got stiff. But the Phillies lost. What else is there? But we'll try and stick to football for most of the day. And we got two good guests coming our way to help us do just that. Paul Domwick's going to join us a little over 20 minutes from now. And then John McClain, one of the preeminent columnists in the National Football League for the last several decades, writing for the Houston Chronicles, going to hop aboard with us as well. So, yes, we've got a good one planned for you because we've got a couple of good NFL insiders. I want to start today's show by talking about some of your compatriots. Johnny Mac, we're just talking about the crush for information that you deal with, the Birds media room that you share with many different individuals. But let me bring up a couple of guys who you do just that, share that space with, who over the last several days have written similar type columns. Not exactly the same, but similar type columns, including our buddy Jimmy Kempski from Philly Boys, who was on with us earlier this week after coming back from vacation. And he wrote a story about the 5 breakout stars. Now, you define breakout how you see fit to define breakout. Jimmy had a specific way to define it. He did a pretty good job of explaining it. You and I can have a different definition for the word breakout, but his column was about 5 breakout stars for the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2021 season. Did you read Mr. Kempski's work?
I did. I always read Jimmy's work. He's a friend of the show. You got to support him. Philly Boys as well. So, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you read Jimmy's work if you're an Eagles fan? And we know the dumpster fire. We just talked about the dumpster fire series. That's phenomenal.
That's why we had him on earlier this week. But he added to his content by putting out this list of the 5 breakout stars, potential breakout stars for the Philadelphia Eagles. Some make a lot of sense. Some are good and debatable. I'll run them down for you real quickly, and then we'll talk about them. Number one, not surprisingly, Jalen Hurts, because it all starts with the quarterback in the National Football League, and Eagles are going with one with minimal experience. How much of a breakout year can he have? Number two, Jalen Rhaegar, they're hoping the Jalen's go hand in hand. Is this the year after a disappointing, that's the word I'll use, rookie season for Jalen Rhaegar, that he steps up maybe as the number 2 guy behind Avante Smith? Defenses don't swing their best cornerback his way. It's a possibility. I see where you can make that argument. Number 3, Jordan Milada, who both you and I suggest that he's not a lock to be the starting left tackle, but some people believe he's got a leg up over Andre Dillard for that position. Should be a great training camp competition. Yeah, that's right, Nick Sirianni.
That's
We're
a
calling
real
it
one.
a competition for you. Milada against Dillard should be good. Milada number 3. Number 5 is Dillard himself, which means one of them's going to break out. Don't know which one it's going to be just yet, but we got faith. Whoever wins that job is going to have a breakout season. And the other one he included was Quez Watkins. Quez had a fit and a start freshman season in the NFL. He did make a couple of big plays. He seems like a little bit of a downfield threat, which every NFL team is looking for. But they have a bunch of young wide receivers who will be given a chance to grab positions in that wide receiver offense this year. Give me your thoughts on the 5 guys that Jimmy described as underrated, or breakout stars.
Well, I like his thought process behind all of them. The concern is none of them are on the defensive side of the ball. You know, I asked Jimmy's buddy, and they do a podcast together, Brandon Lee Gout, and when he was on the show yesterday, give me your breakout potential stars. And I always take Avante Smith off the
Right.
table when I ask that question because it's too easy, and I want to hear sort of a maybe more under the radar player. So that's why I take Avante out. And you know, he gave us his thoughts, and I've been given. I said Avante Maddox, you know, because I think he's going to play more in the slot, no matter what the Eagles do at outside corner. He's on a contract year. I think he's going to be better than people think. But offensively, I think he hit the nail on the head. I talked from the receiver position. Look, this is the plan. I know you don't like it, Jody, but this is the Eagles' plan. And they want Jalen Rhaegar to be that second receiver. And then they want somebody else to jump up and be that third receiver instead of Greg Ward. And it's either going to be Travis Fulgham or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside playing outside. And then Rhaegar would go inside to the slot. Or if those guys, and by those guys I'm saying Fulgham and J.J., if they don't perform, then I want to keep Rhaegar outside and put Quez Watkins in the slot because they want more speed on the field. But now here's where it turns positive for you. If Greg Ward's better than him, and he very well might be because all of them haven't done anything except Fulgham for a month, you know, he's back out there. And then he would be in the slot and Rhaegar would be outside. But certainly my overriding point is the Eagles want more speed, more explosiveness on the field, and that's where you get Watkins. Watkins, he was a 6th-round pick, Jody. I mean, it's sort of a lottery ticket. You buy it. You saw the one play where he showed his speed and athleticism. If you remember the move on the hitch route, and he goes for a touchdown, so people get excited about that. He can run. There's no question about it. But you got a long way to go. You got, especially inside. If you're playing inside, you got to be able to run option routes. You got to be on the same page with the quarterback. It's a difficult position to play. So, but I like his thought process because this is what the Eagles are trying to accomplish. And then you go to left tackle. Yeah, I mean, one of them's going to win the job, and one of them's probably going to be better than people expect for a couple reasons. I think they both have talent. People seem to forget that with Andre Dillard. And the rest of the offensive line is really good. So I think that'll help them. So I like the thought process behind all the players. The quarterback is obvious.
Right. Let me you should know better than me. You might know better than me. I hope you know better than me. Quez Watkins, the limited number of catches that he made. And you're right. A couple of them were highlight type plays that people will remember, but how much of his playmaking, catches and the like, did he do actually out of the slot? How much of it was outside while Greg Ward was in the slot? Because Greg played a lot of slot for the Eagles when they were in 3 wide receiver sets, which they were more than they thought they were going to be this year because of the injuries to the 2 tight ends when they thought they had 2 top 20 tight ends in the league to start the year. Both of them spent time out of the lineup due to injury. So the Eagles did a whole bunch of 3 wide receiver sets. How much was Watkins' production from actually the slot when Greg Ward was off the field?
Yeah, this is, and I'll look it up in the break and I'll tell you exactly, but this is just off the top. He didn't play much in the slot last. He didn't play much at all. So basically, and they looked at him as a guy who can run. And originally, John Hightower was ahead of him on the depth chart because he was drafted a little bit earlier. And they both have similar skill sets. They can both run by people. So in theory, you say that's an outside receiver. But for whatever reason, the new coaching staff has come in and looked at his traits and looked at his ability and said, this guy might be able to do some things from the slot. As to why, I mean, my first indication would be size. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's 6 foot. He's about 185 pounds. So he's not that Mike Evans, 6'5", 225-pound outside receiver. So they're trying to get him on the field. And we'll see how it works out. But he didn't play much at all. And usually when he was out there, he was outside.
Right. And that's why I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude if someone can actually beat Greg Ward out in the slot position. Another Eagle beat guy you share time and space with, Jeff Knox from Inside the Eagles, listed the 3 most undervalued. And again, slightly different definition, similar but not exactly the same as breakout potential guys. 3 most undervalued Philadelphia Eagles. One I know you'll appreciate because you just mentioned him. Number 1, Avante Maddox. Number 2, Josh Sweat. Number 3, interesting, Isaac Seumalo. So you have to have a baseline for someone to be either undervalued or overvalued. And again, everyone can have their own baseline that they're using for each of these players. Avante Smith is going to start for the Eagles. The question is inside or outside. We're back to the slot discussion. Are you inside or outside? That's both offensively and defensively. I think most people believe Avante Maddox would be better served being inside, covering slot wide receivers than outside, but we don't know how that's going to shake out just yet. Maybe Jeff knows something that we don't know, that what this is going to add to the value of Avante Smith, depending on where he lands. Josh Sweat, we all know the breakdown. How many snaps is he going to get? When he's out there, he seems to be a playmaker. Kind of an important year, but they did go out and get Ryan Kerrigan to add to that defensive end mix. And Isaac Seumalo, as an undervalued guy, I don't see that. To prove his value, what is he going to do? Keep Landon Dickerson riveted to the bench? That if Landon gets up to speed, gets healthy enough that he can play, Isaac Seumalo keeps him from playing because he's so good at the guard position? I think most Eagle fans and guys like you and I have a pretty good grasp on what Isaac Seumalo's value is. Are we actually undervaluing him?
I guess it depends on your definition. He is a good player, and I think people don't realize he is a good player at times because you do have Jason Kelce, and we all talked about how good Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks are when they're healthy. And then you kind of say, and Isaac, and he's sort of the runt of the litter.
Yeah.
And if you talk to Jeff Stoutland, he's a really good player. Is he a Pro Bowl player, an all-pro player like these other 3? No. But he's real good when you look at him as compared to the other offensive guards in the league. He's probably, somewhere probably between 20 and 30, which if you think about it, there's 32 teams. That means there's 64 starting guards, and the Eagles got 2 of the top 30, I would say, at least. Maybe even go a little bit higher for Isaac. I wouldn't go top 20, but he'd be in that 20 to 30 range. Just a really good player. And I don't think a lot of people think of him like that. I think they think, well, he's just a guy. And He's with the other player. No, he's really good. And you saw when he got hurt. I think people forget he missed about 8 games last year.
Yeah,
and that was really impactful for the Eagles' offensive line. So, kind of depends, but I think you see the ceiling. I don't think it's going much higher. I think where he is, he's just a really good, solid starting left guard in the NFL, and he is going to keep that job. Landon Dickerson isn't going to play there this year whenever he's healthy. I think Landon Dickerson is more about 2022 than 2021, and he'll be playing either center or right guard, not left guard, because that's going to be Isaac Seumalo. And then you have another tangent. Will he move into center? And I'm talking about Isaac. I don't think he will, but people will be talking about that. My point is he's going to be on the field. So it depends on how you want to rate these guys. I pick Avante because he didn't play well. And people know he didn't play well. He didn't play well outside. I think he's got a chance to play at least to an acceptable level inside. He's on a contract year. You always look at that. And then Josh Sweat's the other name you mentioned. Look, Josh has always been effective in his role. I think people are assuming his role is going to get ramped up. I don't think it is. And that's because of his knee injuries. The Eagles are very cognizant of what turned him from the top defensive recruit in the country to a 4th-round pick, and that was this catastrophic leg injury. And they kind of know this thing isn't ever going to be 100%. So the more wear and tear on it, he's not playing 90% of the snaps. And, yeah, they've changed coaching staffs, but, you know, the medical people are, for the most part, the same. There's a couple shifts every year, but they have this plan with them, and I think that plan will continue. So, it depends on your definition.
I'm going to ask a follow-up on the offensive line. And I guess I'm asking you to look into your football crystal ball, and I think the best way to do that is probably to try and read Jeff Stoutland more than anything else. If the Eagles are 100% healthy, which I know is a major reach to begin with along the offensive line, but no downtime for Lane Johnson, no downtime for Brooks, no downtime for Kelsey. Their 3 veteran guys are all 100% healthy, and it's back to 2017 when the line stayed together throughout. If Landon Dickerson is wowing them in practice, which is he more likely to get time for? I'm not talking about filling in for an injured guy, but if they just want to get him in there to begin his NFL season and get him some reps and some action on the field, is he more likely to go in for Kelsey? If Kelsey should go down, is it more likely that they'll move Isaac Seumalo to center and put Dickerson in at guard, or just put Dickerson right in at center? If Kelsey's the guy who's going to miss time this year, how does the Eagles offensive line on the fly get reconfigured?
You know, it's interesting, Jody, because early in the process when Isaac got here, you heard a lot that maybe his best natural position was center. But I go back to Lane Johnson. When the Eagles drafted Lane Johnson, the plan was to start him at right tackle and then move him to left tackle when Jason Peters retired. Never happened. Jason didn't retire, kept coming
going
back.
And going.
Yeah. And at a certain point, Jeff Stoutland would answer the question. No, he's so good at right tackle, I'm not moving him. So when Jason, and that's what happened. I think Isaac's not that good, but Isaac, as I said, is better than people think. I think they're going to be in the same position Isaac. He's turned into a pretty solid left guard in this league. I don't think they're going to move him now. It's been so long. That's just the personal feeling I get from Jeff Stoutland. We'll get to talk to Paul about it in a few minutes. That's the feeling I get. So I would think Landon Dickerson's best and only way to get on the field this year is injury. And one of those 3, he'd play anywhere inside. But long term, yeah, I think he's going to replace either Kelsey or Brandon Brooks, not Isaac Seumalo. I think Isaac's going to be the left guard.
The Mac and Mac guys here on Birds 365. John McMullen and Jody McDonald with you. All right, coming up next, not only are we going to talk about the Eagles, we're going to talk about the fact that we're not going to get his pros as often as we used to. He is quasi stepping aside from the Daily News and the Inquirer. Paul Domwich is going to join us next right here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.